Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Split Lunch Bros Podcast, episode number 143. I am Brendan. PFL 2022, PFL number 5, which was the heavyweights and lightweights, as well as some featherweights in there. Their naming structure is a little bit weird, but anyway, Bruno Capeluzza versus Mateus Scheffel, Anthony Pettis versus Stevie Ray. I forget the first name of Abreu versus Fajeda. Lots of fights to cover, lots of stuff to go over, so we're going to go over all that in this video. If you could, before we get started, subscribe to the channel, because if you like MMA, if you like the UFC, if you like the PFL, I cover pretty much every single UFC event, every single PFL event. I currently have beef with Bellator. Maybe I'll make a separate video about that, or I'll try and cover the event that happened over this weekend. But I guess they're trying to keep that shit a secret. They don't want anybody to see it, I guess. But if you subscribe to the channel, it'll let you know when the next video is coming out. I do 2 or 3 videos these week, 2 or 3 videos like this every single week, breaking down the fights. So go ahead, check it out. Check out the channel. I got a backlog of a ton of things if you like all that stuff. All right, let's look at the main event here first. So Bruno Capeluzza taking on Mateus Scheffel. Scheffel getting the win here via decision. Bruno Capeluzza is the former heavyweight champion in the PFL, so he's not without his merit or skill. He's a very good fighter, and he has, moments where he looks excellent, like he could take on anybody in the heavyweight division in MMA. And he has moments like this where he just looked like crap. He had, moments in this fight where he just looked like crap. He looked really good early on until he got caught. So Bruno was fast early, but the only heavy thing he was really landing was leg kicks, and Scheffel was landing some of his own. That seemed to slow Bruno down just a little bit, and then Scheffel caught him with an overhand right, rocking him bad, and then unloading with a ton of shots. You can see as far as their scoring, the FPR rating in the first round, 83-41 in favor of Scheffel. I totally agree with that. I had it a 10-9. He had that crazy flurry, rocking Capeluzza really bad. I easily gave that round to Mateus. Second round was close. Okay, round number 2 went to Mateus. I don't know if that's necessarily accurate. I don't know how close their FPR was on that one. I kind of gave that second round to Capeluzza. I feel like Bruno was slowed down big time, but he was still landing a good amount of shots and landing his jab. But I think Bruno landed more shots in that second round and had the damage in his favor. But if I didn't, that's fine too. The last round was also pretty close, but I felt like Scheffel did enough in that last round, landing some leg kicks, and Capeluzza was slowed down so bad. I don't know if he was gun shy after that first round, or if he, really was just compromised by those leg kicks. Maybe he just never got his wits about him after getting rocked in that first round. Great fight. It was exciting. It felt like Capeluzza's got, that look. I mean, look at the dude. He's got that look about him. He looks like he belongs in a professional. He looks like a professional athlete. And Scheffel looks like a normal guy. And that's often the way it goes in MMA, especially at heavyweight. So, is Capeluzza that good? Is he that bad? I don't know. I think he's fine. I think he's a fine fighter. He's still going to be in the playoffs. We will go over that probably next weekend, maybe. After all is said and done, we will go over the playoff structure and talk about that going forward. Maybe I'll make predictions. I'm really bad at them, and I don't like making predictions anyway because I think they're silly. Next fight here, this co-main event, Anthony Pettis taking on Stevie Ray. So Anthony Pettis had a finish in his first fight. Stevie Ray gets the finish here in the second round. Holy moly. This finish was so weird, but no joke, I saw it coming. And not because I'm some wizard or anything like that. It's just something about it seemed like what happened was going to happen. We'll talk about it. We'll get to it. So the first round here, Pettis looked functional. That's the best way I can describe it. He looked functional as an MMA athlete, as a fighter, doing decent work with his kicks, but not really landing too many punches or anything like that. Ray was able to land some of his own good left hands as well, and when Pettis was trying to engage, but mainly Pettis was on the back foot for the second half of that first round. Ray was pressuring forward and kept Pettis on the fence, outlanding him and outdamaging him in that first round. I gave that first round to Stevie Ray, although, it was kind of close, but, I don't see a big difference there. Pettis was doing a good job with poking kicks and landing through the defense up top. So Ray was often guarding and doing a good job defending his head against the kicks, but the kicks were landing through the guard. And at one point, it looked like Ray might have been rocked a little bit, at least stunned by some of those kicks. So Pettis was doing some really good damage up there and doing a good job stabbing with that front kick, flicking it into the gut, stabbing at him and doing some good work that way. Pettis went for this weird takedown, and Ray saves it with the whizzer and tries to take the back, even though his leg is caught underneath. So the whole situation works out to where Ray ends up on the back of Pettis, puts in the body triangle. Right, he puts in the body triangle, and then this is exactly what happened in the Dustin Poirier fight, the Anthony Pettis-Dustin Poirier fight. There was a time, I don't remember if it was right after it happened, but when I was watching it, I was like, oh shit, his ribs are going to get messed up again. Here, we'll look at a picture of it. So, in this position here, you can see Anthony Pettis tried to turn into Ray without clearing the body triangle, and that's exactly what he did to Dustin Poirier, and you can tell that his hips never made it through, even though his upper body did. So his spine was being turned, but really the pressure was going to be on his ribs, and then Ray just crushed him and just held him and squeezed him tight, and Pettis ended up having to freaking tap out. So it's just such a weird position, and they called it a modified twister because you're twisting the spine, but really he tapped due to rib damage, and that's the one that he dislocated last time, or broke last time, against Dustin Poirier. And like I said, I saw it coming, but not because I'm an MMA wizard, just because it seemed so familiar, and like what was going to happen I just kind of had a feeling. And what can you say about Pettis, man? Was Pettis ever actually that good? I would like to do a deep dive on his career and kind of break down who he was as a fighter, because I never had him in that upper echelon of lightweights. I never felt like he was the best lightweight in the world, even though he was the UFC champion. It's just there was something off, and I think he's an action fighter who can string together a couple wins, and given the right opponents can definitely beat them, and that's kind of what happened in the UFC. But I don't know if he was ever this dominant force that was just unbeatable and he was just the best in his weight class ever. I don't know if he ever was. It was just the matchups that got him there. And he went through the whole thing where he's on the Wheaties box and all that crap. I don't think he was ever that good. He has his moments, I know, like in the Showtime kick and all those things. But if you look at his career, it's just peppered with inconsistencies and confusion on my part, like from me, just looking at what he did. Anyway, good win for Stevie Ray, getting himself. He actually knocked out House Manfio from the playoffs, who was last year's champion. So that's interesting. I thought that was kind of funny because that guy had a moment last weekend where he really. It didn't look good, and he just squeaked in I don't know. The playoffs make this interesting. We'll talk more about it once we break it down. Klidson Abreu versus Renan Ferreira. This fight was kind of boring. Abreu was doing enough he just got the takedowns. And in the first round, he took him down, landed a little bit of damage. Ferreira didn't do enough on the feet to win. And Abreu just took him down and got the win that way. Now, Ferreira is like an athletic 6'8" guy, and I remember watching, the last time he fought, just hearing about how good he is and how athletic he is and all this and that. Whatever, you can't stop a takedown to save your life, and then you're gonna lose. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And because of this, he was looking to get kicked out of the playoffs, but because of the way the main event shook out with Sheffield getting the win over Bruno Capoloza, Ferreira ends up squeaking his way into the playoffs, which is so not ass backwards, just so weird that happened. And Abreu, I don't think Abreu gets into the playoffs because he doesn't have a finish, even though he has 6 points. Because I think the first tiebreaker is how many finishes do you have? Since there's only 2 fights, you can only have 2 finishes. So, how could you get? Oh yeah, I guess you could have the same amount of points and more finish. All right, never mind. Forget it. I get it. I understand how it works, and I'm not complaining about it. All right, let's see here. Next fight on the card was Anta Delia versus Chris Wade versus Kyle Bochniak. That was first. This fight ended really quickly. We don't need to go over stats for this one. Wade, during a takedown, Wade ends up getting the TKO/KO finish here. During a takedown from Chris Wade, Kyle Bochniak's knee got twisted and turned under, and then Wade landed a few low leg kicks on him, damaging the knee, and then he attempts 2 leg kicks in a row with his lead leg, and then throws the next one up top and catches him right in the head and knocks him out. A beautiful, beautiful placement, great gamesmanship, excellent technique, and Wade getting the TKO finish there. It was fantastic. Really good performance by him. All right, so this is a weird fight here. Ante Delia versus Shelton Graves. Graves, it looks like he's out of place in there, both physically, but also how he's fighting. And Delia just did not perform very well at all. So this first round should have went to Graves. Second round also should have went to Graves. And the third round also could have gone to Graves. And it didn't. Graves didn't win here. Graves actually got a point to take deducted. I think that was in the second round. Yeah, very weird, sloppy round and awkward, including an accidental headbutt in which the stupid ref that made a mistake earlier in the card took a point from Graves because of an incidental headbutt during, opposite stance, and he was moved in. And yeah, the way he was doing it was a little reckless and whatever, but dude, so stupid. He shouldn't have gotten a point taken away, that's for sure. And even if with that point taken away, I still had him winning the fight. I'm not crazy. The FPR also had him winning the fight. Every round was, this weird clinch thing where either Delia was in control of the clinch or being controlled in the clinch. Either way, he was never landing damage. It wasn't landing shots. I mean, the amount of strikes thrown by Shelton here, 109 to 50, and as far as significance or you want to talk about what shots did more damage, they're about the same. So there's that. I don't know. That was really stupid. I cannot believe Ante got the win there. It was really dumb. That was a bad fight. You don't go back and watch that one. It's not worth your time. All right, Bubba Jenkins versus Ronaldo Exon. This fight was fun. It's fun to watch. It's a good fight. So Exon had his moments early in that first round. Jenkins ends up getting the decision win here. Exon had his moments early in the round, but Bubba really started to control the grappling, and the round ended with a back and forth where Bubba got the best of it as far as the striking goes. So I gave him that first round easy peasy. Bubba was doing fine, keeping it on the keeping it even on the feet, right? So anytime Exon would land a couple good shots, Jenkins, this is in the second round, Jenkins would land some of his own, and then he got this great elevation takedown and slammed him and controlled him for the rest of the round. Easy 10-9 there, going up 20-18. So all he had to do was not get blown out or finished in the third round, and that's exactly what he did. He ended up taking him down and dominated him on the ground and getting that third round as well. Easy win for him. I had 30-27, and that's pretty much the way it went. So good win for Jenkins. He is also in the playoffs. Here's one. Dennis Goltsov versus Maurice Green. Maurice Green, the former UFC fighter, blah, blah, blah. The real story of this fight was John Jones being in the corner of Green, so that should tell you about how interesting this fight was. It was not. Goltsov was on top and in control the whole first round. It could have been a 10-8 because nothing went. Look at this, the FPR here, 92-6 in favor of Goltsov. And it, as far as the strikes go, I think Green might have landed one strike in that first round. Nothing of significance, that's for sure. And because of that, I would totally give Goltsov a 10-8. But, even if you don't, that's fine. Which I think they should add into their scoring system is like a half point based off of how the decision victory, right? Because if you get a split decision, is that as good as a unanimous decision? I would say no. But then we're also waiting. But, you're dependent. The argument against that is like, well, then you're dependent on what the referees think to give you your points. But you're dependent on that to get the win in the first place. So I don't see how adding in a split decision versus unanimous decision is going to make that big of a difference as far as like a half point, right? So we can differentiate between, certain wins being more valuable than others, because I would argue that a 30-26 decision win is more significant than a split decision win, where you squeak by. Do you know what I mean? Like you dominate the guy the whole time, but you get the same amount of points as someone else. That doesn't make sense to me. So I don't like that about the scoring system. Maybe we could. I think they should change that. There should be a petition to add in some half points into their scoring system to account for different kinds of decision victories. Anyway, John Jones in the corner of Maurice Green, giving him advice in between rounds. That was the most important part of this, most interesting part, because it was just a sloppy fight. Total garbage. Green looks like if you looked at him the wrong way, he would fall over. Not his chin necessarily, just his takedown defense was dog shit, and he was just getting taken down over and over again. Made it a boring fight because Goltsov just sat on the top, and Green was like going for stuff off his back. I don't know. It was garbage. All right. We got Lance Palmer versus Shayman Moraes. Palmer, obviously the former champion, not last year, but the year before, a multiple-time champion. Palmer getting the win here. Thank God, because he looked really good, and if he didn't get the win, I'd be super upset. Palmer landed some really good left hands and worked his way to a takedown, controlling Shayman pretty much the whole first round, getting a 10-9 in my book. You could even go 10-8 because Moraes did zero things, and again, 76-4 as far as FPR. Palmer was looking tired in that second round and not able to keep up enough control or land enough damage as Shayman did in that second round. So I actually gave the second round to Moraes. So I had it tied going into the third round. And then in the third round, Palmer did enough grappling to stop Shayman from landing any damage and anything significant, and Lance landing some of his own. So getting the win there, in my opinion, I think that was a good decision. I would have been upset if that did not go that way. Okay, moving on here. Another a former UFC fighter here. Juan Adams versus Sam Kai. Kai representing Tonga, which is the first professional fighter from that area. Pretty cool thing there. So this fight got sloppy real quick. Also, Sam here should be at light heavyweight. I don't know. Weighing in at 210 and holding on to a little bit of fat in water, it easily could cut 5 pounds to make 205. This is kind of stupid, the fact that he's fighting at heavyweight. Maybe it was a short notice thing, but I think it's still kind of dumb. Kai looked tiny in there. Adam's just a big brothering him all over the place. He was just picking him up and dumping him. But on the feet, Kai landed some really good hooks and stunned Adams, which is, Adams is not known for his chin. Adam pushed forward through the punches, and both guys were exhausted, and I was like, here we go, sloppy heavyweight action. Adams did a lot of wrestling and landed some good shots of his own, but I don't think he outdid the damage that K did to him in that first round, and that's, that played out here 91-67 in favor of Sam. And then in the second round here, Adams landed and K went into defense mode, but Adams not able to land enough to get them to do, where he had him in complete defensive mode, but he wasn't able to land enough punches to get the TKO finish for a while, landed a ton. And then eventually with, just sitting on top of him, in the turtle position, landing the most insignificant strikes I have ever seen in my entire life. You might as well be giving him, blowing him kisses. The fight gets stopped due to a TKO finish. Now, I am not protesting the stoppage. I think it's a fine stoppage. I just think it's hilarious because no one's going to talk about this shit. Meanwhile, everybody bitches when other fighters get finished like this. Be consistent with your criticism, peoples. Flores versus Kudo. Boy, Ryoji Kudo hits fucking hard, man. That right hand just crumpled him like a lawn chair. Holy shit, he went out. Kudo is the guy who fought Brendan Loughnane a few months ago and gave him all he could handle, getting losing by arguably a fight that I think I actually had Kudo winning. But holy shit, he hits hard, and he's in the playoffs now because of that finish in that first round. He had one way to make the playoffs, and that's how he did it. Speaking of Brendan Loughnane, Brendan looked twitchier in a good way at some points in this fight. Twitchy, like he was snappy and he was moving the way he should. Didn't look half asleep like he did in the last fight versus Kudo. Huskic landed early and well, but I felt like Loughnane. Oh yeah, and Brendan was having some problems finding his timing. Loughnane's left eye started to swell shut, and it was almost completely shut by the end of by the midway point in the second round. And Brendan had his moments and landed some decent damage to the legs, but that first round easily went to Ago here, and Ago. He just did more damage. I gave him that first round 10-9. Second round was completely dominated by Brendan. He landed more, even with one eye, which was good. He landed some really clean check hooks. He got a takedown, and it was just a much better round for him. So I had it tied going to the third, and then Huskic slipped throwing a kick, fell to his back, and then Brendan moves in to go engage on the ground, but the referee stopped and stood Huskic up, which made no fucking sense. It's the same ref that I talked about earlier who screwed up that fight later on, taking a point away from Graves for no frickin' reason for the headbutt. Same ref, stupid decision, very weird. The fact that he stood him up, I don't know what the fuck that was about. He also wasn't paying attention, and Huskic complained about a low blow when they were engaging on the ground. It was close. I'm not going to harp on him necessarily for that, but it's just a pattern of mistakes. It seems like that guy is relatively uncomfortable in there and not making consistently good decisions, more sporadic and not understanding the rules necessarily. So Brendan did really well in this third round. I think multiple takedowns and the damage and the control gave him that third round. So I had him winning, not controversial for me at all. So how everything shook out over the night, he does make the playoffs. So I am excited for him. I'm a fan of him. Like, I know we have the same first name, and that makes me always lean towards that fighter or that person. It's just inherently built into me. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's not a common name, especially the way it's spelled, and it just makes me root for that person more than I necessarily would. So whatever, it is what it is. Sorry if that rubs you the wrong way, or if you think that he's a piece of shit and he just shouldn't fight. He's not a good fighter or anything like that. I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, I think he looks good. I think he's a functional fighter, serviceable fighter for that division, and I think he's looked fine, especially now that we know how good Kudo is. Based off the way he put his opponent away and how fast and how hard he hits, Brendan can hold his own in there with a lot of guys. So I'm excited for the playoffs in the PFL this year. Okay, now we made it to the end of the video, and I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for stopping by. It means a lot to me. Just subscribe to the channel so you know when the next ones of these are coming out. Like I said, I do 2 or 3 of these every single week. If you like the video, click the like button. I would really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. If you're looking for the UFC, that'll be the next video that comes out. Obviously, it hasn't. I'm going to post this probably before the UFC event starts. So if you are watching this on Sunday or Monday, the next video should be about the UFC and the prelims there. So I appreciate y'all for stopping by, spending time watching this stuff. It means a lot to me. It really does. Thank you guys. I hope you guys have an amazing week. Hope you guys enjoy the weather. If you're having good weather wherever you are, enjoying the summer. If your kids are home from home on summer break, maybe you're on summer break, maybe you're in school. So enjoy it. Spend time with the ones you love, and love y'all guys. Peace.